It's time again for another episode of SLMA Radio, brought to you on behalf of the thousands and thousands of members of the Sales Lead Management Association. That has to do with sales lead management or sales lead marketing. It probably starts here with the SLMA Radio Show. Today, as always, we're privileged to have with us the founder, the executive director, the man behind the curtain, Jim Obermeyer. Hey, Jim.
Thank you, Paul. Paul Roberts is our announcer and producer and the guy behind everything on the Funnel Radio channel.
Just behind the board. You're behind the curtain here.
Somehow behind the curtain doesn't mean what it used to mean. I don't know. Hey, Paul. Paul's going to jump in today a little bit on our subject, as he is often asked to do, because we know he's got some opinions. The title of our program today is When Corporate Arrogance Bulldozes Marketing's Good Judgment. And I assume the reason for a lot of things we're going to put forward today really has to do with some of the corporations' C-level suite chiming in. A little bit of success, we believe, can breed arrogance and poor judgment in many fast-growing companies. I work for one company at a time who said the website is all we need to find customers. We don't need mail, email, public relations, or exhibits. They can't find us on the web. We don't want them as customers. He changed his mind a year or so later under some duress. But some companies decide they don't want to contact anybody except through sales departments. They show one phone number and no corporate address, and that's it. This frustration started a year or so ago. I was talking to Susan Finch, one of our co-hosts and the producer for a lot of things in SLMA. And it surfaced again last week when I called a company to talk to someone I know as a customer. Their phone tree had changed. There was no phone book anymore, just a sales and customer service number as an option. I hit sales because I thought, well, I can get through to the person I need to find. And I clicked sales. I asked for the person. The salesperson said, there's no way to connect to that department. Now, this is a company that's got $1 billion in market cap. Leave your number. If she thinks it's important enough, she will call you back. Those are his exact words.
Oh, my gosh. You've got to love that.
And I said, you don't understand. You're a client of ours. I know her. And he replied, like I said, leave your number, and if she thinks it's important enough, she will call you back. And I said, well, okay. I was so taken back. This is not the first time I've run into this wall. And Susan, what's your thought about this whole thing? And I know you've got Leah coming in today to talk to us about it, but what's this barrier companies are putting up on their websites?
Well, I didn't hear your total intro to the show. So, did you get to the part that people are full of illusions of grandiose?
Yeah, well, not quite, but I implied it.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. Is these cocky? And I'm sorry, but that is how it's going. They're cocky. And they think that they need to prove their importance, or whoever it is needs to show off that I don't need to talk to everybody. I'm so important. And they're so full of themselves. They're getting caught up in what they think their importance is. And I don't know if it's because of how easy it is for us to spout off all of our opinions and we think people are listening. I don't know what it is. But the cockiness and arrogance, especially with tech companies and software companies, is rampant. And you were right. Fewer and fewer people are able to actually find the humans to talk to. I think it's just terrible. I think we have lost sight of customer service, potential networking. We'll cover all that in the show. But I'm wondering if Leah's ready to join us.
Well, before we do, I think it's terrible that we haven't introduced Susan. You just jumped in and said Susan, as if everybody knows. Everybody knows.
Susan?
Susan Finch is with us, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, Susan, go ahead.
Well, anyway,
talk about arrogance and cockiness. We just assume everybody knows Susan's voice here. Yeah, exactly.
Paul, you're going to edit that part out for the podcast.
This is one of my passions. This is, this even tops the headshot issues. This contacting people, hiding behind gates, hiding behind things to show importance or to not have to deal with the riffraff, I think it's killing businesses. It's killing the humanness of businesses. So, yeah, sorry I jumped in. I just go off on this.
Well, I found about 1 in 10 companies, I go up on their website, and they've got one phone number. I call them, and there's no phone tree. I look at their contact page, and I don't know where in the world they reside. It's as though they're afraid to say that they reside someplace that's maybe undesirable. I don't know. So there's no address. So you don't really know what time zone they're in. If you can call them, there's just no way to reach them on a regular basis. Their contact us page is all about click here for a demo, but we don't want to hear from you for any other reason, much less the phone call issues.
Can I go one worse before you bring in your guest here, your other guest?
Yeah.
I won't name the company, but we use a company here to store these podcasts when they're turned into podcasts, and we've all had trouble with them because there is nobody to call. They are all virtual. There is no office. There's nobody ever waiting to take your phone. It is impossible to call and have somebody answer. You send a message out, like you might as well send out an email or a text, and somebody then mysteriously routes this around the world and calls you back a day later.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, let's bring Leah in, but I do have a thought on that, too. I know the other side of that is an accountability and having to protect themselves if they give advice and say things. They need that trail of the communication. So part of that I understand, but for the most part, no.
Well, let's introduce your next guest here, and she's been patiently listening to us rant and rave here.
Great. So I'm really excited to have Leah Niederthal. She's the president of Growth Work Solutions. And where I became attracted to wanting to get to know her further business-wise was that she teaches clients how to sign the clients they want, even if they hate selling. I know that sounds dumb for a salesperson, but some of us really do hate selling even though we're good at it. Jim, you know that's how I feel. And so if you run an expertise-based kind of business and you hate the sales part, she shows you step-by-step how to sign more clients comfortably, consistently, and without being salesy. So, Leah, welcome. I'm so glad you could join us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well,
so, Leah, do you have an opinion about these people that hide and don't want to do anything but give demos?
You know, I have opinions on everything, and so I have opinions on this. And I want to share with you, so this actually happened, something like you're describing happened to somebody in my family. My parents actually were staying in a home sharing an apartment provided by a home sharing service that shall not be named, and they actually got robbed. And so they sort of naturally reached out to customer service to get some help on this. And after about a day of being sort of given a runaround, the customer service person said, well, we will only respond to your customer service on Twitter. And so then now you have my parents who are 6 years old having to sign up for Twitter just to have their customer service challenges addressed. So I have experienced this, and so that's why I have a number of opinions.
So why does nobody want to talk to anybody anymore? Is it just the time? Is it the expense of having human beings waiting for answer a phone call? Do they think somehow, as you guys in the beginning said, it gives an impression that you're bigger than you are? Why don't people want to pick up the phone and talk to people?
I have no idea. I think that people have forgotten that every touch point with your company is a rehearsal of what it's like to work with you, right? If your first touch point is the phone tree that says you can't get connected to this person who, even your client, then that's what it's like to work with you. If you refuse to answer customer service requests, that's what it's like to work with you too. If you are looking for a location just so that you can know whether it's the right, maybe they might be open to respond to something. That's, this sort of playing hard to get. That's what it's like to work with you too. And I think that people have become, they've sort of lost that, and consumers have long memories for those types of interactions.
When we tried to set up a streaming service for this, I through the radio station, we stream it, and then restream it to somebody else. And I went through a number of sites trying to find out where these people are located, because if there was a problem in the live stream, I don't want to reach somebody who's asleep. They're on the other side of the world. So, I found it frustrating, as Jim did, when you go to their sites, they don't want to tell you where they are. There's no physical address or even time zone attached to it.
I think
think about who you're also selling to, right? You're also selling to not just the consumers, but you're building relationships with vendors. You're essentially selling to your own employees or new hire, candidates. All these people experience the same touch points, and what does that communicate to them?
I think
Leah, is this part of the millennial thing where the millennials don't want to have phone calls? They only want to communicate through instant messages and not even emails. Are they taking over some of these companies to the point where they're...
Nope, Susan's live. She was trying to jump in and Jim jumped on her.
The other piece of this, guys, that we're not that we're not dealing with is the fact that when you slough it off, it allows them to delay being better at what they do. They can skirt around that they are not good at customer service, that their product isn't good. They don't have to deal with the failures or the missteps that they have, or people wanting to unsubscribe or people hating them. They don't ever have to deal with it head on if they make it difficult to get to that stage, to get to the real person.
I'll go one step further. I think they want you to go away. I'll give a named example here. I had trouble with Microsoft with something I installed in my computer. You can't call anybody at Microsoft. There's no human being to reach. It just goes on, and I'm sitting here with a real live meltdown. I had this. Somebody else have this. I forgot the exact problem. It would make it get it bigger, but it was something that totally crashed everything. There's nobody to call at Microsoft or any of these places.
And I've had the opposite of, isn't that interesting? Adobe, Microsoft, also both of them known for horrible customer service. Recently, I will have to give them a pat on the back. They both helped me.
There you go.
But it took me a lot, though, to get to the right person, and I had to keep requesting to be escalated.
Yeah, and when you have to, you can type to people and you can chat with them, but to physically get somebody on a phone is difficult. And even to find the phone number, you have to go through pages and pages. They hide it way down the chain somewhere, hoping, I think, that you'll just give up and go away. It's a horrible example, but I think there's too many of those out there. And the people that do, aren't we always impressed? I'll give a different shout out. PayPal. I use PayPal a lot. And I can always get somebody on the phone instantly, and they will review my account and change the problem and fix it. And I just find that I'll stick with them forever because I can get a human being on the phone quickly.
I have the same experience with Google.
For the program today, I saw Bulldozes, which is a lead management company. So I said, well, for the program, I clicked on their site. They sent me an email. I looked, and sure enough, the contact page has all of their addresses, all of their maps, all of their phone numbers. I called the company. They've got a phone tree. You can go to sales. You can go to the individuals. They did it right. It was really refreshing to see that. Now, they're a lead management company, but I can name a few lead management marketing automation companies that are just as bad as the examples that you're offering, Paul and Susan.
Well, before we go too much deeper, I know everybody wants to jump in. We got to take a quick break. Let's run a couple of commercials here, and then let's find, other than some frustration, is there a hope, or is there a way to deal with this? Are we forever stuck with just being frustrated?
How to fix it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All this and more as we come back right after this. If your organization's success is driven by B2B sales, then there's a book you should be checking out. It's called Predictable Prospecting, and it's by best-selling author Mary Lou Tyler. In it, she shows you how to rapidly add qualified opportunities to your sales pipeline, ensuring consistent and predictable, yes, we said predictable, revenue growth. You can get started right away, turning your business into a sales machine. Simply download a free sample chapter and check it out at MaryLouTyler.com. That's just like it sounds, Mary Lou, LOUTYLER.com. Predictable Prospecting. Zuant is a new generation of mobile lead capture systems. one you can use at every trade show and every event, or even every day when you're out on the road to present and send videos and literature to your customers right then, right now. Looks great and eliminates the need for manually entering your leads later. Pretty smart. You can be too. Just go check it out. Zuant.com. That's ZUANT.com. Zuant.com. All right, back with Jim and his corral of angry people here.
Susan and Leah, how do we solve this issue?
Leah, you're on.
You're on the hot spot.
I know, put me first. I really think it's about recognizing that different customer types and different customers want different things. For example, when you talk about, I wish I could get on the phone, I personally hate getting on the phone. I'm at my computer all the time, and if I'm on my phone, that means I can't do other things. So I prefer web chat, right, for customer service or trying to get to the right person. So I think it's about, offering a number of options and seeing what works. And the more that you offer, the more that you can look at the data, how many calls are coming in versus how many web chats, how many contact forms, what have you. Then you can look at the data and let the data determine how you provide solutions for your customers. But, choosing one obviously isn't working.
Right, or forcing them to go Paul's parents having to go to Twitter when they've never done it before, and that was their only option. I feel bad for marketing. I bet marketing's just crying.
And for me, who really wants to talk to a human being still, I hate web chat. I want to talk to somebody. I don't type well, so I get frustrated. And I think to Jim's point, I'd love Leah to answer Jim's question earlier that when we were all jumping and saying, well, wait a minute, I got a worse example. Is this a millennial thing? Because millennials I don't know what age Leah is or what bracket she's in, but I suspect she's younger than I am. And the younger you are, the less you want to talk to somebody. So are they just giving up on all us old fogies and still want to talk to somebody?
I think that without sort of trying to make a blanket statement, I think that, people of different ages obviously have different communication preferences, but the truth is that the people who are running most of these companies are not millennials. So right. It's not like, your 26-year-old guy or girl who was just hired is the one making decisions about all the marketing channels and all the customer service channels and what have you. So I don't know that, especially in companies, we can really point to a particular generation, right. And really, it doesn't really matter who's in charge. It's really about the customer and what the customer wants and needs.
You're right. It doesn't matter what age. Whoever is sending down these edicts of how things will be handled, if they're even doing that. That's I think one of the bigger problems is marketing has a plan and they have goals, and then sales has goals, and then your management says, I'm getting way too many calls. Just stop that. Well, wait a minute. When you do that, this is what's going to happen. And when you do that, this is how it's going to be affected. And if we thin out the contact page because you're sick of getting direct calls and being reachable, or you don't want people recruiting away your people, well, we got a problem. This is how that's going to affect it. I think there's more of a departmental breakdown that's causing it. I totally agree with you, Leah. It is not. Those poor millennials always get blamed for everything. That isn't what it is. I know enough of them. They actually like talking on the phone because it takes a lot less time, and they can hear the nuances in everybody's voice. So I don't think that's it. I think it starts on whoever is in management not pulling everybody together to say, here are the goals. Marketing, what's your goal? What do you need from us? How are you answering the phone? And I think most companies forget to actually go call as a stranger and try and get through.
Oh, I have that all the time. I say, I wish somebody could go through the experience of getting press 1, press 3, press 6, and do that 12 times in a row.
Right.
I'm going to be really a bomb thrower here for everybody, and starting with Jim. My late father at one time ran a customer service for Chrysler Corporation. He was the customer service manager for the whole company. He reported directly to the president. And so he was the last one on the chain to get all the calls of came in, complaints. And he said to the day he died, I think customer service is going away. I don't think they want to deal with it. It's all about sell, sell, sell rather than retain. Is that too harsh a statement? Are we so focused on new acquisition, new clients that we've forgotten about the old steady ones?
I don't think so.
Everybody wants to reduce their headcount to a certain extent and use automated systems. That's part of it. My main complaint is it's just hard to get through to companies to begin with. And then when you do get through, obviously you've got the issues once you get into customer service and going down that little rat hole in some companies. I find Comcast up here gets a lot of complaints from a lot of people about services and all kinds of things. But when I call Comcast, there's always somebody there to help me. So they may be short on some things, but they're long on personal contact. I don't know if anybody else has had that experience. So what about their websites? Leah, do the websites and the contact pages also need assistance? I find some of them just, click here, tell us your problem, or click here. They don't take any profile information down. Just give us your email address. Don't leave room for phone numbers. Don't leave any space to tell us what your problem is. Are the websites just as prone to being selfish as the phones?
I think there's a really delicate balance between trying to get too much information and not asking enough information that would really help them solve that person's problem faster. I've seen contact us forms that are essentially like a questionnaire, and I think studies show that for every additional field you add to a form, there's a corresponding drop-off in people who fill it out, right? Perhaps out of frustration. So I think that if your if your contact form can do a little bit of segmenting, for example, is this a sales question? Is this a billing question? Is this an other question? That's one way to do it. And it's all about framing it in terms of value for the customer. For example, in order to help us answer your question more quickly versus just throwing a bunch of questions at them.
Interesting.
Let me give you one more. I was just going to give you one more quick rant since we're talking about forms. Sure. I have this problem all the time with banks. You call and they force you to segment what's it about, and you pick these choices, and then you enter all your data, your account information, all the other stuff, your date of birth, you enter it all up so that it'll all be teed up. And the first question the person asks is, what's this about? What's your account information? And we go through all. So I just did this for 10 minutes on your form here. Is that a problem, or why? I've never understood why they do that. So if you're going to do this,
that's a security thing for banks. I mean, that is a double check thing that they have to do for security.
Oh.
So it's annoying and makes they seem like idiots, but it's just a double check thing. Same with medical things. Both of those are so vigilant and have to be. Just, for all the security reasons. All
right, I'm going to forgive him here. What about Susan threw out a provocative thing. She says the only reason they've got rid of phone trees where you can directly call somebody isn't just to reduce the number of calls they get fishing around. It's so the headhunters can't call them and hire them away.
Yep. So be better. If your people are that easily hunted away, then you stink, and do better. I tell companies that all the time. Don't hide. So I think, as we're running out of time here, gosh, that flew. A challenge for all of you.
I feel better, though. I don't know about you guys. I feel better just getting this off my chest here.
Marketing and management, upper C-space management. Call your own company.
Amen.
Going off script. See how your first ambassadors, the ones answering the phone, handle the call when it doesn't fit the mold.
Have you ever done that, Leah, with a client? Say, hey, let's sit down and try calling your company here.
I haven't yet, but I'm going to start now.
I used to do that.
It's kind of like the voicemail
from the lobby of a new client while I was waiting, and I was selling telemarketing services. I'd sit in the lobby and I would call the company, and then I would get up in the conference room and report back to them about how their calls were handled, whether they were good or bad. Leah, we're just, Susan and Paul, we're just about out of time here because we've got CRM Radio coming up with Mike Schultz to talk about when to know to do sales training. Sales training is thought of as the be-all solution when sales are in the tank, but very often it isn't sales training that's needed. Leah, how does someone reach you at GrowthWorks Solutions?
Sure. Well, you can reach me at growthworkssolutions.com, or you can send me a direct email, of course, because you guys, I'm very accessible. It's Leah, Leah, @growthworkssolutions.com.
Thank you very much, Susan. Paul, good conversation today. Thank you, Leo, for joining us. Paul, over to you. Let's hear what Mike Schultz has to say, and it'll surprise a lot of people about sales training.
You've been listening to another episode of SLMA Radio, brought to you on behalf of the thousands and thousands of members of the Sales Lead Management Association. Has to do with sales lead management or sales lead marketing probably starts here with the SLMA Radio Show.